Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition, a very exciting edition with a very, very special guest of the NXT&We interview series, where we bring you interviews with all sorts of personalities, all sorts of wrestlers, people involved with the wrestling world. And we are so excited to bring you today a 8-time WWF/E hardcore champion, a hardcore legend. Do you know? Do you know who it is? No? A 2-time ECW World Tag Team Champion. Still need a little bit more. He is also an ECW World Champion. He's not just the coolest. He's not just the best. He's just incredible. Justin, welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going great, man. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here, and looking forward to chatting with you guys, man. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, let's go. Brett, how are you doing? I know I kind of I put Justin in front of you, and I hope you would understand. But how are you doing today?
Completely understand, and it's you did the right thing. You prioritized the correct person. So
thank you. I thought
he's the man of the hour, so to speak. While we give you guys another edition of the interview series that you so well laid out for us, PJ. So yeah, just excited to be here.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, hey, we generally start these the same way. Justin, can I call you Justin? That
sure.
Good? Or PJ? I'm also PJ. I don't know.
Whatever. Either one is fine. Either one is fine.
I'm known as PJ. I've been known as PJ since I was really young, that's kind of my I'm Patrick James.
Okay, I'm Peter Joseph.
Peter Joseph, yeah. People say that to me all the time. They're like, "What's PJ? Peter Joe?" I'm like, "No, Patrick James." But I get your, I had a Paul Joseph friend as well.
Okay, all right.
2 PJs, yeah. So
nice.
PJs all around. It's the PJ podcast, Brett. Get used to it.
It's a good name.
Yeah, hell yeah. Strong name.
Strong initials.
Yes.
So, basically, we always started with I'm sure you've been asked this plenty of times, but just for our listeners and anybody who isn't familiar with, for whatever reason, how did it start? How did you get into wrestling? What got you as a person involved with the sport, involved with the business, and what drew you to it, and how did you get your start in the game, as they say?
I was just a huge fan as a kid growing up. I grew up, I remember the first memory I had in wrestling was watching Hulk Hogan pin the Iron Sheik for the WWF title back in the day. I think it was 1983. I was maybe 10 or 12 years old, something like that. And I graduated high school in 1991. And I'd figure I'd take a year off from college to kind of see because I wasn't I didn't have my sights set on doing one particular thing, although wrestling was always on my mind with doing it professionally. And but this was pre-internet, so I really didn't know, I had no connections in the business, and it was still very much kayfabe, where it was still very much kept to the people in the business. Outsiders weren't very welcome at this point. So I was working at Stop and Shop grocery stores, which is a chain where I was a bag boy, bagging groceries.
I'm in New Milford, Connecticut right now. Born in Bethel.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. We're both from Bethel. Yeah.
Both from Bethel, Connecticut. Yeah. Born in Danbury. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in Waterbury right now. So so I worked at Stop and Shop, and
shout out Stop and Shop.
Yeah. So on my break one day, as in those days, we had a ton of wrestling magazines in the newsstand. So I took my break on the newsstand, eating a candy bar, drinking a soda, whatever, and going through the wrestling magazines. And on one of them, there was a full back page advertisement. It said Hart Brothers Pro Wrestling Camp, Brett and Owen's family. And they had a phone number and everything. And all this stuff about guys that had been through the camp, guys like Brian Pillman and, Dynamite Kid and all these legendary names. So I was like, wow, this could be a thing. And I just called. I spoke to Bruce Hart, one of the older Hart brothers. Yeah. He answered the phone, believe it or not. And I set it up. And a year later, the summer of '92, I went to Calgary. I saved up my money, went to Calgary to learn how to be a pro wrestler. And they were starting a promotion there also in October. So October 16th, 1992, on my 19th birthday, I had my first professional wrestling match in front of about 100 fans in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Jeez.
So that makes you an alum of the Hart Dungeon?
Hearts. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Keith is, I don't know how true Wikipedia and all this stuff is, but trained by Keith Hart, is that as well?
Keith Hart was, I spoke to Bruce, but Keith was the one that I took,
like
that
more
took the money.
hands-on?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He was
Okay.
the one, you know, it's a complicated tale, but the Harts all had their hand in the pot, you know.
Still like, geez, man, that's
yeah.
like, it's part of wrestling lore that,
yeah.
you know, it's funny, like, just for wrestling fans, you say the word Hart and you immediately know, like,
right.
the whole
and that was the reason for me doing it too, was I was obviously, you know, I was getting like the newsletters back then because, you know, like I said, no internet. So I was trying to educate myself as much as possible. So I knew what that meant. I just couldn't believe that they were offering that to the public. But of course, how else are you supposed to kind of, you know, get people there? You know? So it was, you know, it was just I saw it as a once in a lifetime opportunity if I was going to be serious about it. And it ended up being the best thing I could have done, because just being able to use that Hart name is kind of what helped me get my foot in the door in the WWF and in a lot of other places at first off, you know. So, you know, it was good. And I learned really, you know, I got trained very well. You know, I can't say anything. I mean, 12 guys started the camp when I went there the summer of '92, and only 2 finished because it was hard. They made sure that if you were going to come out of that school, you were, you know, they put you through the ringer and made sure you were legit, you know, like you really wanted this.
It's like a life callous.
Right. If you're going to represent the Hart name and the Hart family tradition in the world of wrestling, you were going to earn it. So.
Yep, absolutely. And we did.
So cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, and then speaking of WWF, so I mean, one of the main, you come in as PJ Walker, shout out PJs again. And, you know, the main thing that I'm sure you've been asked all these a bunch of times, but I have to know and hear it from the mouth itself. You with help from the bad guy, you secure a pinfall victory over IRS.
Yep.
So we're both 92 babies.
Okay.
So this is 1993 Monday Night Raw, the beginning of Raw, which is a whole nother topic in and of itself. But how did that come about? What was that like? Like what was the whole scene like when you get you know, and they did it a lot more then with like they like to have the whole big pop of like somebody who doesn't usually win a match get a win like that. But like, if you could just take us through, like, what was that like, and how did that even come about?
It was kind of coming off the heels of the 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yep.
That was done prior, and that was very successful. But that was with Sean Waltman. That vehicle was made though for Sean Waltman to kind of come into the WWE. When I did it, it was more or less, that was just for Razor and IRS for Mike Rotundo, Bray Wyatt's dad, funny enough.
Yeah.
And
Bo Dallas.
And Bo Dallas, yeah.
Don't forget Bo.
Yeah. Is he still there?
I mean, he's probably eating something somewhere. I imagine.
Yeah, I think he's still on the roster, but hasn't made a TV appearance in almost a year now.
Just quick side note, like because we talk NXT, that's all we're exclusively in NXT podcast, but like we obviously talk wrestling in general. Before Kerry and Cross had come in, I really was hoping it was going to be a repackaged Bo Dallas. Talented kid.
Yeah. But they didn't really tell me anything. I was being used quite often because I knew that they liked me. They liked my ability. They put me with a bunch of good guys. Like I was one of those guys that could, you know, have a good match with anybody. Even as a jobber, you need to have good matches, you know, because we had a lot of shitty jobbers in those days. It was, you know, it wasn't, they didn't make a big deal out of it, but I knew how much it was going to help my career because it actually got my name out there and my indie bookings picked up and so forth. So it affected me in a great way. I don't know. I think Tony Gurria was the one who he was the one that I first met actually. I had the balls to go backstage one day, just kind of bring my gear and go to New Haven, the old New Haven Coliseum, to go to a house show. Cause I came back from Calgary and I didn't know anybody, and I really didn't have any bookings around here. Cause like I said, it was hard to make acquaintances in the business. So, one day I finally did what the Hearts would always told me to do, is take your gear, show up to a show and introduce yourself. And I did that. And Tony Gurria had then started booking me on Raw and all these other shows, because they were doing a lot of stuff close to here, Manhattan Center, stuff all over here, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, whatever. So I was being used quite frequently. So that was just kind of the start to really having a good relationship with the office over there.
Yeah. So like around that time, the whole like territories in wrestling was slowly going away, but WWF was still largely based in the East, the Northeast,
yes,
particularly, right? So anyway, that you could have that must have just been good exposure to be on Raw, and then anybody in the Northeast, or did it open up bookings in like the Midwest, the South?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, back then too, this was around the time of the steroid trial for Vince, and the company was hurting for money, and houses were down, business was down, and they were trying to keep all their TV tapings as close to home as possible. So I mean, back in the late 80s and during the Hogan Warrior era, they'd fly jobbers around the country to go do TV in LA or Texas, wherever they were going to be. So now it was a concentrated effort to keep it close to Stamford, because they have their warehouse where they keep the trucks and the rings on, exit 9 over here on 95. That's still where they have all their stuff. So they figured, they could bring me in. I'm a reliable guy, young guy, and do a good job. Yeah. So, and they don't have to pay me trans. So it was kind of one of those things. I was just, I just happened to be, and that's a theme in my career, really, being at the right place at the right time.
Did they pay you well for those appearances, or was it sort of the exposure was pay in some sort of way?
A little bit of both, but for me, I mean, they would book me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for $150 a night, which is still, I mean, it's $450. But for wrestling, I mean, that's, for an unknown guy, that's not bad. And nonetheless, they put you up in a hotel, they take care of any incidentals. So, I mean, it was great. I'm still a kid, I'm living at home, and, I'm getting to work for one of the biggest companies in the world. So it was okay. Hell, to this day, I wish I could, get bookings. Maybe not at 150. I'm a little bit past that, but still though, it's about but 3 days a week, it adds up, right?
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing, and it also helped you get bookings elsewhere.
Yes. Do you have any particular spots in Stamford that became your favorite restaurants or anything?
Not really. No, I was
Colony Pizza.
No. I was always at home, and I would always go home, but what really helped break me, and this is the start of it all, was I got a call from Tony Gurria saying that he needed me for a full week to go to Stamford to the warehouse, which is off exit 9, but the office building's to the left. Instead, at the lights, you take a right, and that's where the Titan TV studio is to this day, where they produce everything. And I was working out with Brian Lee, who was going to do the fake Undertaker, Mark himself, the real Undertaker, who I had worked with in the ring and known quite well, and just us three, because they were trying to get Brian Lee to do the fake Undertaker. So I was going to wrestle him on the next Monday on Raw Live, and they wanted us to just kind of, work out his moves and, just get familiar with him being the Undertaker. And I was just kind of his assistant to kind of bump around for him. So Friday comes, we do the Monday through Thursday training sessions. Taker was there the whole time. He'd get in the ring with us. We'd just, fucking off. We'd get food, work out, have fun, really laid back. On Friday, Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson come down to see the full dressed rehearsal. Yeah. And so it's just literally Vince, Pat, Taker, myself, and Brian Lee, 5 guys in a room. And, you could argue that these are the most powerful guys in the business, Pat and Vince especially. And, you know, we roll through it. We were, you know, Brian Lee's in full Undertaker gear because Vince wanted to really look at this. Yeah. You know, it was a full dress rehearsal because he wanted to see how it would look on camera and so forth. So we get through it. Everything was fine. Pat gets in the ring. And this is what started my relationship with the great Pat Patterson, because he was super cool. He starts talking to me, and this is where everything starts to come into play. He goes, who trained you? And I said, well, the Hearts did, sir. He goes, oh, really? You know, and I started talking, kind of opened the door, start talking about the Hearts, and he's telling some stories. I'm telling some stories, kind of, you know, it was a good thing. And then we talk a little more. He's like, well, what nationality are you? And I'm like, I'm Portuguese, sir. And he goes, Portuguese? Hey, Vince, this kid, he's Portuguese. Vince kind of, you know, chuckles a little. I'm like, what the fuck was that all about? What's the big deal? Yeah. All right. Okay. So again, some more small talk. And then Pat asks the question, do you speak Portuguese? I said, yes, sir, I do. Oh, hey, Vince, this kid fucking speak Portuguese. And Vince is like, very good. Does the laugh. The whole time they were looking for Alto Montoya, the Portuguese man of war.
Yes.
And I fit the mold, and I was in the right place at the right time, which, like I said, is a theme in my career. Well, really in a lot of people's careers, because that's how people really do get a break. And that's how it all started. I from that moment on, I got a close relationship with the old man and with Pat
and Taker. Clearly.
And Taker. Mark and I have been friends for decades, you know, and he's a wonderful influence in my career. So it's been really cool, man. It was really cool.
So I know, Brett, I mean, we both have a couple more things to get through with your career, but you answered a couple of questions I was going to ask, because my wife is actually born in Portugal.
Okay.
So like my first being born in 92, my brother's 5 years older than me, so my earliest wrestling memory is WrestleMania 12. So that was like, we were in 96, but I remember seeing Aldo Montoya. I mean, the bright colors, the mask, it was something like that stuck out in my mind. So like, you know, it was what, 93 or so to 97 was kind of like
94 to 97. Yeah.
And like, I mean, because like I said, I was gonna ask if you spoke Portuguese. I was gonna say, because just, you know, I can shout out my wife. So shout out Portugal. I actually went there for the first time.
Beautiful country.
I want to live there.
Beautiful. My mom and dad are actually there now for good.
Wonderful. Whereabouts? I don't know.
About 20 miles north of Coimbra.
And how close is that to Lisbon?
Lisbon, it's about 3 hours. Lisbon's all the way to the west near the ocean, and we're all the way inland, so about 2.5 hours inland.
Okay, they're like Tondela, like around there.
Yeah. Up near the mountains, kind of. It's a beautiful place. Like, they lived in Connecticut for 40 years. They came here in 1970. They came here in 1970. They had me in 73, and then, you know, they were getting older. You know, they were in their 70s, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's just go over there." And, you know, it's a lot cheaper to live on their pension and you know, stuff. So they're dual citizens. Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, that's awesome. I had to make sure we got. And then just if you wanted to, like, anything that sticks out with your time as Aldo.
Yeah.
Like anything just particular that you could touch on before. I know things.
Nothing really. It was just, man, I had never, when I got signed, I probably had maybe 30, 40 matches under my belt. There was no NXT, there was no developmental.
That's wild.
You know, so I got thrown right into the fire. So, you know, it's really, you learn, and it's not just me, it's a lot of people in those days got thrown into the mix really early. Yeah.
Sink or swim, right? It's like, hey.
But that's the best way to do it. So I was really learning how to get over. So by the time I actually learned how to get over on television, and, you know, my first promos on Monday Night Raw, the first time I ever pick up a microphone, I'm on Monday Night Raw without any practice or anything. So, you know, it's like, it's very stressful, dude. I can't even explain how stressful that is.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
The butterflies, man.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, it was crazy. But you know, I did the best I could. I worked hard. I got to make lifelong friends, and I got to travel the entire world wrestling everybody. I wrestled Kurt Hennig, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Razor Ramon, Diesel, Bob Backlund. I mean, I'm missing a million other people. Everybody.
I mean, that list alone is pretty awesome.
Yoko, Owen Hart.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on. You know, there's probably nobody I haven't wrestled from that era. You know,
That's
but
incredible.
it was a really cool experience.
Pun intended.
It prepared me to then go to ECW and kind of take off with the Justin character, because then I knew. You know, I had done 2 Royal Rumbles. I'd done Survivor Series. I'd been on pay-per-view. And a lot of the ECW guys hadn't had a pay-per-view experience. So that's what Paul Lee kind of saw in me, too. It's like, well, this guy's coming in. He's been to the dance. He knows how to do it. Like, you know, I knew how to work live on Raw, where if they're telling you 2 minutes before commercial, we have to go home. I knew how to, you know what I mean? I knew how to do that, where these guys didn't. Yeah, these guys didn't. So, you know, it was, it all kind of worked out perfectly.
That is a perfect segue for my question here. So it's safe to say that, at least I believe it is, that you're most well known for your work in ECW.
Yes.
And when you debuted in ECW, it was under the guidance of Paul Heyman, going by Paul E. Paul has developed a reputation over the years of having guys, you know, Paul Heyman guys, you know, you've heard that phrase on TV, CM Punk has said it, etc. What was that experience like working with Heyman and just with ECW as a whole?
It was great. I mean, it was different level. And Paul was way ahead of his time with what the business was turning into. I mean, ECW was the Attitude Era before the Attitude Era. And it just gave us all like so much creative freedom. Just so much room to play. Like I really got to be who I thought, like, you know, in wrestling, like you know, WWF or WWE at the time, or WWF at the time, WWE now, there's so many restrictions and rules. And in ECW, it was just really, you can just go at it and, you know, do what your imagination wants you to do. Like, I just got a chance to explore, and Paul really let us explore and let us kind of do our own thing. You know, he would guide you, but really left it up to you to finish it and to kind of put your stamp on it. So it was a great experience, man. I mean, if ECW didn't go out of business, I would have stayed there until they kicked me out, because I was making good money. I was making $2,500 a week wrestling Friday and Saturday nights, which is $10,000 a month to wrestle 8 times. I could take that. I mean, I'm not going to get super rich, but I'm making a hell of a living doing something I love. You know, not being on the road. Yeah,
I mean, $100K a year at that point, right? I mean,
well, in the WWE, I was making actually less as Aldo, traveling 200 dates a year.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Jesus.
You know, because the WWE was, you know,
they were struggling at that time. Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer. I loved ECW.
That's, I mean, the stories that you, I mean, Brett.
Yeah.
You want to run down through some of
I'll just got another one here.
Your cat down there.
I'm trying, dude. It's
your cat.
Like trying
put him in another room.
I tried to keep him on the porch. It wasn't working. So
it's our other co-host. It's Brett's cat.
Yeah,
sometimes.
my cat
just
needs. He was sleeping. I don't know how he knows, but as soon as the red light comes on, he starts meowing.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Just it's unreal. So to get more into the ECW conversation, is there a particular feud in ECW that you're most proud of, whether that be with Mikey Whipwreck, Tommy Dreamer, Jerry Lynn, Raven, etc.?
I would say the ones
in particular that comes to mind.
Yeah, I would probably say the one I'm most proud of would be against Dreamer. But a quick second would be Jerry Lynn, because the stuff Jerry Lynn and I did was like really next level as far as pro wrestling match quality wise. I mean, he was so good. We did such good stuff. But for the reason I say Dreamer, like we're tied hand in hand with those two, because Tommy was on a more personal, emotional level. Our storyline wasn't so much having these amazing pro wrestling matches. It was telling these stories, where Jerry Lynn and I, were really about just having these amazing 5-star matches. So, you know, and he was just so good at them. I mean, like, you know, we would do stuff like he you know, we do the tombstone off the top rope, dude, which is unheard of. You know, without killing each other. He would give me a hurricanrana from the top rope to the floor through a table. And we just, you know, we trusted each other. We worked well with each other. We never hurt each other, which allowed you to just kind of open up and want to take more chances because you're working with such a pro. So yeah, it was really cool. I would say those two guys were, I mean, everybody really was awesome, but those two guys in particular were next level for me in my career.
Also a pile driver guy himself, Lynn, obviously.
Exactly.
So, that was just so good.
Not one that I had written down, but was the ECW locker room close, or was there like certain cliques, or was everyone kind of just there because they were all just happy to kind of express this creative freedom in the world of wrestling that wasn't available with other promotions at the time?
I would say for the most part, everybody was really cool with one another. I mean, like anything else, there are always cliques, but that being said, there was never any like malicious or bullying going on. Like, excuse me. Everybody was really, really cool. So no, everybody really cared for one another, and at least I never felt it. I was always like, you know, I loved going to work, man. I mean, I would honestly, and I had never felt this way about anything in my life before, since, is like couldn't wait to go to work. Couldn't wait to get to the arena. You know, the fans were like our family. To have 2,500 lunatics cheering for you, and they were some of the hardest fans in the world. But when you were over with them, you could do no wrong. Yeah, so it's like I was like going to church, man. They would worship you, and it was so much fun. I can't imagine. I mean, you know, and then the locker room was really kind of mellow. So there's a lot of partying going on. There's a lot of just, you know, just a lot of, like, basically like hair metal bands on the Sunset Strip in the 80s. That's what the ECW arena was.
Yeah, you know? And you know, I'm sorry, but there's no one that I think jumps more to mind than Balls Mahoney. Hair metal on the Sunset Strip. I mean, that's the first name that comes to mind.
It really became a lot of great pro wrestling, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what it was. You know, it was a great time. It was a great time in the business, you know.
And I love that I think Philly still has that reputation to this day. Any promotion that goes through there, WWE, Ring of Honor, they're hard. They're tough critics, but if you get over, I mean, you can really make a name for yourself. I mean, even a guy that still is having success in WWE to the Daniel Bryan, you know, Bryan Danielson and Ring of Honor, with all the Pennsylvania roots of Ring of Honor. I mean, not even just Daniel Bryan. You can look up and down the roster, you know, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, all those guys kind of maybe not the sex, drugs, and rock and roll of ECW, but they still got that forged in the fire of Philadelphia crowd.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. So, yeah, for sure.
Yes, I mean, Brett, did you have a couple more on your list to go in there?
No, go take it away.
I mean, we're talking ECW. I have to at least get these obligatory questions in. I mean, you actually posted something recently. It was a picture of you of a kendo stick, like bending over your head.
Yeah.
And it was like, no wonder why I have short hair or something like that. It's like, and you know, we're not wrestlers, but we messed around as kids, and then we both dabbled in pro wrestling. But I mean, hey, we decided to not take bumps for a living. We decided to talk. But my question is pertaining to something like that. Like, what the worst injury you've ever had?
Concussions.
And just
concussions. I've been blessed, dude. I've never had a surgery. Never had a stitch. I've never had stitches. It's a
Oh my
godsend.
goodness.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. Like I said, like a lot of the guys, man, they were so good in the ring. Like I think a lot of times we were looked at as somewhat careless, but it wasn't the case. Like at least the people I worked with, and myself especially, we took great care in not hurting one another.
Safe,
you know. Yeah, so everything we did was always safe, and I've been blessed, dude. So yeah, my injuries have not been great. I mean, I'm 47, so yeah, I'm banged up, and you know, I'm sore sometimes, but not compared to some other guys and gals. So I'm very lucky. You know, I got very lucky.
So was it like, I guess off of that, other than you're taking care of each other, you're making sure you're not going to land on the head, you're making sure you're just gonna protect each other through and through. But was like, I'm gonna hit you with this thing in the head, and we're gonna hope for the best kind of deal. Like, it was the deal you kind of made with each other.
Well,
it's like,
yeah, kind of. And you made sure it was the safest shot possible.
Yeah. Yep.
And also you could always put your hands up.
Yeah.
But it just kind of became a badge of honor to not, or a badge of stupidity to not put your hands up. Which I probably wouldn't take much back, because I never took a lot of headshots anyways. I was really careful with that. Like if it was a chair, like if Balls was swinging his chair, I'm putting my hands up. I'm not that stupid. But a cane shot, although they do hurt, were not as bad because they did bend. But it did sting like fuck. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you can see welts instantly form on the guy. You know, most of the guys take them on the back now, and then almost instantly you see the red welts start to.
Yeah, those hurt. Those are not a joke.
Funny wrestling is
silly question, I suppose. You said safest shot possible. What's the safest shot possible with the steel chair? Is it just something straight down and across rather than like a glancing sort of blow?
I guess, yeah. I mean, to me, everything has to be there's the side of the chair that has edges, and there's the safe side with no edges. So you want to hit them with the safe side, and then always come straight across so you can, protect yourself. Absolutely, because if you're coming at an angle or something weird, if you don't commit to it, then you're going to end up hurting someone by accident, inadvertently. You're not going to purposely do it, but so yeah, you always want to make sure you're coming square up to the guy you're hitting. Absolutely, just to make sure they have the time.
Right.
No,
absolutely.
I keep wanting to use incredible, and then I realize every time I use that it's a pun.
So that's all right.
It's it's a word that I use like a lot. So
yeah.
So to keep on going with some couple more ECW questions that I got.
Are you good with? We're good to keep going, Justin?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, this is awesome.
Of course. Yeah. Please.
You were one half of the successful tag team in ECW known as the Impact Players with Lance Storm. How did that come about? Was he one of your better friends in ECW? Just a guy that you worked really well with? Was that Paul E's idea? Was that, or just like a natural progression of storylines going on at the time?
I think it was both. I think it was Paul E's idea and a natural progression. But Lance actually, even though it ended up being Keith Hart's camp, Lance and Jericho had gone through the camp in 1990. So Lance had stuck around, and he did a lot of my training, if not most of the actual in-ring training. So Lance was the first person I ever met in pro wrestling. Through camp, because he was in the ring, with me all the time when I went to Calgary. So we had that history, and we had stayed friends through my journeys in the WWF and his journeys in Smoky Mountain Wrestling and stuff like that. So I guess it was Paul's idea. I really don't remember all that well of how we formed, but when it happened, it was just so natural, because I was everything Lance wasn't, as far as like I was more cocky, brash, more loudmouth, and he was, more of a bruiser, and Lance was more of a technical guy, more of a straight and narrow kind of guy, but we kind of brought the best out in one another. So it was like two different guys kind of blending into one cool team. And that was all Heyman, I think. I mean, I got to ask Lance one of these days who really came up with that, but I think it was Paul. Pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I love the name, and then as I was doing some more reading on it, it seemed cool because you'd had your feuds with Dreamer and Mikey Whipwreck, and then it seemed kind of cool that the Impact players form, and then you kind of get to revisit those feuds, but now you have Lance at your side, and they brought some more people to the table, so it's just cool when wrestling kind of gets to blend old narratives, but revisit new narratives in a different light, So
and they were good at that, and it also brought different players to the table because Lance was managed by Dawn Marie, and then I had a bunch of people coming in and out of my faction. So it just gave us a ton of toys to play with and situations to play with, so it became really fun, to where when we won the titles for the second time, it was like we were a well-oiled machine, man. We were just, it was ridiculous how good we got.
Yeah, you're running roughshod.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It was really cool.
Man, Brett. I mean, this has been freaking awesome. I know I'm like reflecting as we go.
I'm enjoying. I'm having a good time. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Thank you again. This is NXT&We interview series. We're delighted and honored to be joined by just incredible legend. And Brett, did you want to get into some of the NXT stuff, or where are we going next?
I just had one last question, and it sounded like you had a great time both in singles competition and then working with Lance. Did you end up developing a preference for singles competition or tag competition, or do you just kind of love both equally, or
I would say
where did you feel most at home?
I always felt most at home singles, only because it's just where you can make all the decisions, right? And I loved being, don't get me wrong, I relied on Lance for a lot of things, because if we were trying to put a match together and maybe I was, had a brain fart or something, we could always bounce ideas off of one another. So it was nice to have him there as like a backup, but deep down inside, singles is where it was for me, because my whole life as a kid growing up, I saw myself as like a Ric Flair or wannabe Ric Flair. Yeah. So to me, that was like, I just always felt more comfortable because also I didn't have anybody, because there's a huge responsibility when you're teaming with someone, because it's not only my future, it's Lance's money and Lance's future. So if I screw up, it's taking bread off of his table. Right. If I do something wrong, or if I'm not we're not getting over because of something I'm doing. So there's a responsibility there as a real teammate. And I know it sounds corny and people don't ever think about that. But when you're teaming with someone, he's part of your act, like a rock and roll band. Why bands probably split up sometimes is like, we're making good money, but this guy's drunk over there and he can't play his instrument as well. Maybe it's time to kick him out of the band because it's affecting how we play.
You're messing your livelihood.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people don't.
It was a lot of pressure.
That at all.
Yeah, they don't. And it wasn't a lot of pressure, but it was pressure to. I don't want to mess him up. Not that I was messing him up, but like you always were cognizant. Right. You always respected it. And when I was on my own, it just like it was almost like a sigh of relief. Like if I go out there and fuck up a spot, it's on me. Like I'm not so stressed out about it. Like I was always stressed out because I didn't want to screw up a spot in a match because it might affect him. Not that it would have been the end of the world, but you always someone's counting on you.
It's in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You want to be there for that person. You know what I'm saying?
Based on that, it's kind of incredible. Some like the Dudleys have been tied together for so long. I mean, it makes you wonder, like, arguments that maybe like the Hardy brothers have gotten it, like real life brothers, but also tied together now as a wrestling act, sort of.
Sure.
That poses a lot of interesting questions. So great.
It really does. And people don't sometimes understand that because they see it from a different perspective, where it really does affect everyone involved, including managers and everybody, the whole package. you know.
Yeah, more cooks in the kitchen at that point.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
More mouths to feed.
Yeah, that too. Yep.
Seriously.
So, yeah. So we are obviously, the name of the show is NXT&We. So we are obviously a NXT based podcast. That's our bread and butter. We do discuss other wrestling from time to time if it's, you know, major, but we would be remiss if we didn't try and ask you a couple NXT questions. So I guess to start off with, how much do you follow NXT, if at all? Do you watch the product, kind of read what's going on, hear what's going on?
I have been, this is disappointing in a way, but I have been doing a podcast with Vince Russo since the beginning of AEW's run on TNT, where we do a AEW review. So for the past 2 years or so, or however long AEW has been around, I have not watched NXT.
We're on the other side of the coin, man.
Yeah,
we're
and that's
it's almost better.
That's so funny. It's so funny because I don't watch any other show. Like, I don't watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. Like, I'll watch the pay-per-views and stuff. And I love NXT. I know they do some great stuff. But you know, being around this for most of my adult life, I just, you know, it's you know, and plus try getting that over on your wife of 25 years to put the TV onto wrestling. It's like you get AEW. You're lucky to get that.
That's it.
Yeah. You know?
Be happy with what you get.
And I get paid to do the AEW review show, so it's like,
yeah. No,
so no,
that is awesome.
I haven't watched, but I know that they got some great guys and gals over there. I know that.
But before I know you have a couple more that might still be able to land. I did see and again, we're not here to disparage any. We talk about AEW, like we will bring up wrestling stuff. Like we're not here to we don't bash. We don't. Wrestling is wrestling. You like what you like. You watch what you watch.
Sure.
We're not going to get mad at you for watching for liking what you like, or anybody for that matter. But I did see, though, because I do pay attention to every show that goes on as a wrestling fan, that ending, and I know that you had a take on to the death match. I know that they've done a good job covering it up. MJF stable is looking great. I'm a big MJF guy. I feel it, you know, but I mean, well, if you just want to just quickly, on our NXT podcast, just talk about
bro,
that
it was embarrassing, and it sucks for Omega.
It was a good match, I thought, for the most part.
It was a really good match, and they worked really hard. But somebody's got to be culpable for that, because you would imagine, I mean, first of all, they know historically, even in FMW, they've had these duds happen before. So they should have been a little better prepared for that to happen. That being said, there was no way that they did this prior. They should have had a dry run of this. You know what I'm saying? So,
like you were saying, a dress rehearsal, like with Taker and Brian Cage.
Right. So there was no excuse, man. It was horrible, and it killed it for them. You know, it really did. It really did.
It was something that could have been made up if it wasn't the main event.
Right. Exactly. You know? So
but,
it was very inexcusable, man.
Well, it's just now that we know that. But even you're a wrestling aficionado anyway, Brett. Do you want to ask some of the just thoughts on some of the wrestlers in NXT individually, or I forget what you had there?
I just had, if you had, you know, even if it's limited, we'll go with this one. Even if you don't watch it, maybe this has still reached you, because I personally think Kenny Omega is one of the singular most talented wrestlers in the world.
100%.
Is there a particular NXT superstar that catches your eye, like whether you hear them or you just have seen them pictures?
Well, Balor is that I've known forever. What were those two? Oh my God, this is going to sound ridiculous. Gargano obviously has been. I mean, I'm just waiting for him to move to the main roster, because he's pretty much been there for like ever.
I
don't know how much more he's going to be able to give physically before
it's a good point.
He doesn't have any more left in the tank if he ever does go to the main roster, and he's as talented as anybody. And Tommaso Ciampa there, or however you say his name, is another one. They're all in their late 30s, dude. It's like by the time they finally get there, if they're ever going to go there, they're not going to have their bodies are going to be shot. So I think that's I don't know if they're looking to bring them up ever, or if they're just going to be NXT for life, which is fine if they do because they're getting paid regardless. But you know, those are two of the staples, right? And I don't know.
100%.
I don't know.
But question that spurred off of that, and this, I mean, I apologize if this is like the most Mark question ever, but for lack of a better term, is the bump card real? Like, is that a thing?
Yes.
That's a thing. Like everybody has a specific amount of bumps, like kind of when it's over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It is because everything hurts. Like it hurts for dude, I was with COVID. I haven't been able to wrestle, right? Nobody really has. So I've lost literally tens of thousands of dollars. And I had to get a side job doing insulation on, attics and stuff. I went to my knees to put on some insulation and I couldn't get up.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I couldn't even get, and I'm like, dude, I don't want this boss dude of mine to see me like struggling to just walk and get back up. I was literally on all fours, just trying to like staple shit to the, and that shit's real. And after so many bumps, you just don't have any more. Your body just says, nope, sorry, bitch, you're done.
Yeah.
And it's very real. And it's a reminder, and it's sad, but it's, you only have so much in you. Your body can only take so much, like in football, really, because it is just as impactful as football.
Oh yeah.
Are there a lot of guys that try?
It's a car crash. Every match is a car crash.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of guys that try and push past that bump card?
Oh, sure.
I recently watched an old match. I think because it was the anniversary of it, but it was Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
And I think you could count on two hands how many bumps Hogan actually took in the match. Granted, he took 3 rock bottoms and he'd square on the back, but there was other parts, where he'd get punched and then would kind of stumble out of the ring. So I'm not calling out Hogan. I'm just
no, I get what you're saying.
If there's a lot of guys that try and push past the bump card and then kind of creatively try and work ways
around it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are, and you can, but it's just, man, the more you go past it, the more you don't have a chance at a fruitful life over, past wrestling. Then you're going to be that guy like Iron Sheik, poor guy that needs a walker, and other people that can't even, move anymore, can barely get out of bed, like Terry Funk, and guys like that, So it's like you got to know when to say when,
And then you find, and then when you can't, you talk about it because you have the experience and you literally can, like people like us who want to hear these people who've actually done it. It's the perfect medium, because then you can come on something like our NXT&We interview series, or you can have your podcast with Vince. And shout out, by the way, we'd love to have him on. Maybe we'll talk off air about making that happen. But this has been amazing, and I guess at this point we get to our again recurring guest, and we would love to have you back on there.
Absolutely,
Mr. Incredible, because
time for the silly questions.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
I do have one more wrestling related, or actually two more wrestling related in the fun questions. Favorite match that you've ever seen, and favorite that you weren't a part of, and then favorite match that you've been a part of.
Favorite match was probably Flair Steamboat 1989, when Flair won back the title from Ricky Steamboat. And my favorite match that I ever had was Jerry Lynn and myself, Heatwave 98.
All right.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Favorite wrestler of all time?
Ric Flair.
Oh,
definitely.
You kind of touched on it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Follow-up question: what would be your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling?
Oh wow. Flair, Hogan, Shawn, Brett.
I'm so glad you put Shawn. Shawn's my personal favorite of all time.
That is.
I wanted to ask about, and I guess what, I'll ask you here. A video we watched. You win the TWA title.
Yeah.
2000, and then you relinquish it from, who was the name of Viper?
Yeah, he was Paul Diamond. He used to be a part of the Orient.
Oh, that what? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
They used to work
that.
with the Rockers.
That video was like, I couldn't even tell who he was. It was like grainy and everything I found, but you relinquished the title. Like, what was that all about? Like, can you just
that was Sean's promotion? That was Sean's promotion.
But that was in between when he retired and then eventually came back.
Yeah, he had retired. That was during his retirement, and he had a wrestling school. So I went down for a week. I stayed at Sean's house.
Oh wow!
Because we were friends. Well, we were friends at the time, and so I went down there. He invited me, and I stayed at his house, and I went to his school, and he had Daniel Bryan down there, Trevor Murdoch, Lance Archer, Spanky, Brian Kendrick, all them guys.
Wow.
So I was like his original class. It was his original class.
I was down there, and so that match was part of me being down there to help Sean out.
So I asked this.
Yeah,
that's like
I
almost let that slide. That's like That's like it's like, I mean, it's not anymore due to internet and technology, but like that was like the lost Shawn Michaels tapes almost, like
yeah, definitely.
And I have to I mean, he's my favorite. Like since I was 4 years old, it's my favorite of all time. I mean, can you just say a nice thing, one more nice thing, like an experience you've had with Shawn Michaels?
No, Sean's great, dude. He's always been like him and I have always been close. When he won the world title, I was his right hand guy. Like
in 2002.
No.
You're talking 96
from Brett after WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
It was me and Sean. Referee Tim White was the driver of the
shout out Tim White
and Arnold Skoland. It was like Sean and I in the back seat, Tim White and Arnie in the front, and Sean and I we hung out for the better part of his 96 title run.
Do you remember
he's a great friend.
The Tim White, like I'm gonna like the videos they did with like him, like he was like gonna kill himself videos. Tim White.
No, the referee.
Yeah, WWE. Look those up. They're wild.
Oh my God, no! I never.
Where it's like Tim White is gonna get like every video ends with him like about to commit suicide. It's like the wild. Yeah, it's like yes. You don't remember this? This is Brett. I'm talking to. Yeah,
I gotta check
Tim
that
White.
out.
Yeah, it is.
I have no recollection of this.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
That's for both of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta check that out. That's crazy.
That's I mean, that's like my intro. That was like early 2000s. He was still with the E. He was like Tim White. Yeah. Referee. But anyway, I mean, geez, we could talk forever, man. I'm sure you get that a lot from the podcast, CJ, because you're just a freaking like. Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you guys. You've been very cool.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually we'll if you have a couple minutes when we're done, we'll talk a little off air really quick. But favorite movie of all time?
Star Wars.
Oh,
the original.
Episode 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I like all of them, but the original always has a special place.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'm with it. Favorite TV show / what are you watching now? Like maybe favorite of all time, and then what are you watching now?
Favorite of all time? I don't really have a favorite of all time.
You could do like a couple. You could list a couple. Go ahead.
I really don't have any. I don't watch a lot of TV. But what I'm watching now is like Winter Soldier and Falcon Winter Soldier.
That just came out.
Yeah, that's dope. And
Did you watch WandaVision?
Watched WandaVision and Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, shout out Mandalorian. Brett's a Star Wars guy, and I keep telling him watch the Mandalorian.
Well, I just don't have Disney Plus. I have nothing against the Mandalorian.
Oh, I gotta give you some. I gotta give you some backdoor channels that'll get you all of that shit for free. Yeah, I'll hook you up. I'll send it over to you guys. Seriously, it's really good. Actually, it has everything.
Oh, I've long loved Star Wars, and sometimes my favorite stories to come out of Star Wars are not about the Skywalkers. It's about the other parts of
the other stuff.
Of the universe. Yeah, because there's so much to offer there. So.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Got like 2 or 3 more. Favorite color? I mean, we just have to ask. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? I don't know.
Green. I like green for
Nice.
some reason.
Let's go. I'm with it. I'm a red guy, but green.
It's in the Portuguese flag, right? Green.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Alto Montoya. Would it be Aldo Green? Aldo Green. We could say. Yeah. Sure. Actually, no, I didn't have a favorite. No, I can't think. Oh, favorite book.
Oh wow. I haven't read I don't think I have a favorite book. I used to read a lot, but I haven't read anything recently. Oh, actually, I will say this: anything Dan Brown put out with what was that? What were those fucking
like Angels and Demons? The Da
Angels
Vinci Code?
the Da Vinci Code, Angels.
Anybody
I read
with,
Angels and Demons actually first, but those books really were the first books that I read, like that I wanted to keep reading. Not like, where is this going? I'm bored. So I would say
Dan Brown books starring Robert Langdon as the main character.
Yes, as the main guy. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a DBZ guy yourself?
I just watched Angels and Demons like 2 days ago.
So. Yeah, that was a good movie. But it was a better book, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
Are you a Dragon Ball Z guy yourself?
I am not now.
Okay.
No.
Okay. What was that? Oh, MCU. You MCU guy?
Definitely. Yes.
Okay. So favorite Avenger?
It's got to be Iron Man. Big Tony Stark guy.
I'm with it.
He's so charismatic, man.
Yeah, Robert Downey.
He would be a great wrestler.
Yeah. He's just so badass.
Excuse me. Well, this has been NXT. We have one more, but just a quick little sign off before our patent pending final question to all of our interviews. I just wanted to say this has been an NXT&We interview series. Myself, PJG, Brett Monroe, and our most esteemed guest we've ever had, just incredible. Again, just so awesome. We'll give you a minute to say where everybody can find you and everything like that. But before we do, I'm very excited. I was telling Brett off air that I'm so excited to hear your response to this. We literally asked this to everybody we ever have on. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Go.
One horse-sized duck.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And why? And why? Can you elaborate?
Because I could probably still choke a bitch. A lot of little guys. A lot of little guys will get you, dude.
Yeah, the numbers will add up.
Yeah, the numbers
but I love that. That is my favorite answer that we got. I could still choke a bitch.
Yeah, they come from behind, get on top, they'll put you down, you're in trouble. So there you go. At least you know where you're going.
And they're a bunch of little horses. I think people forget that there are 100 little horses.
And they bite.
Yeah. They got their hooves.
You're fucked.
That would suck.
Yeah, big time. You're fucked. So, yeah.
So, confirmed, Justin Incredible can still choke a bitch.
Absolutely.
Specifically a giant duck.
Yes.
Don't get mad at us.
That is, no.
This has been amazing, man. Again, we'll be in touch. We'll talk.
Definitely, absolutely.
And where can the people find you? Whatever you got going on, anything you want to plug?
Sure.
Or anything, go ahead.
Just follow me on Instagram at PJ Polaco, and of course on Twitter at PJ Polaco. And if you're into pro wrestling tees, go to prowrestlingtees.com/justincredible. I got over 20 old school and new school tees. So that's it.
Shout out. We know
awesome.
We're big. I'm Matt Nix. Shout out Matt Nix.
Awesome. If you
Pro Wrestling Tees, he's a friend of mine.
If you send us the links, we'll provide it in the description of the episode as well. So people can just click it and they not even type it in. So.
Very cool. Thank you guys so much, man. It was awesome.
Yep.
So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Chicago.
What you guys all come here for, what you expect. And that's NXT Talk, the best NXT Talk you will find on any platform.